Hey guys, Galen CS here with another knife review. This is of the Buck Vantage Pro. Excuse me, wow, happens every time. Alrighty, so let's kick it off with construction of the knife. Now this is the upper level of the 3 levels that Buck has, the Select, Avid, and Pro. This is the top level, and that is reflected in the materials. So we have here CNC milled G10, which is done by waterjet. Basically, it's a G10 sheet that's sculpted out with the water, and it's got a little bit of texture. It's really kind of polished, as it were, for the flat surfaces, which a lot of people seem to not appreciate. It is nice in itself, but it still, it could be a little bit grippier. It feels phenomenal, though. It's very ergonomic in hand, with clip on either side, but because of that, they want something with a little more grip than just these cut-in grooves, as you can see. So it is also a flow-through design, and I believe this is a true flow-through design in that it doesn't have a spacer that curves around the handle, as it has a flat bottom. It's just a spacer right at the bottom, versus something like the not the Tenacious. Well, let's go with the Cara. I'll be doing the review pretty quickly. See how the spacer is one piece going all the way around, and the curvature in the handle. Because of the square handle of the Buck Vantage Pro, it can allow for just a rectangular piece right here, which I think is easier to clean, given that it's just a rectangular area that you have to actually clean out. Next thing is Torx bits. It is obviously, because it's a well-made piece, it'll have Torx bits, 2 body screws, 1 pivot screw. You can take the liners off and clean them, which is phenomenal. Take apart the knife, which is awesome, especially if it gets really gory in there. You need to clean it out, as mine's starting to get with all that pocket lint. The steel liners are in there. They are not milled out steel liners, so that the knife is a little bit heavy, comparable to the Bird Cara, I believe. But that's just how it feels to me. Steel liners are a little bit thin, as you can tell. They're about 1.5 millimeters thick, or 1 to 1.5, and that does lay into the liner lock that it has, or what I recently found out, the not Christopher Interval, the Walker something lock. I don't know. It's the guy that created the liner lock. I can't remember his name. Anywho, on with the show. So we have steel liners, and the D10 is a little bit stronger than that. I'll talk about that a little bit more on the bottom pocket clip. Okay, so it's a different design. They have it screwed onto the bottom, which is awesome for very deep pocket carry. If you have any fabric whatsoever, when you carry this on the pocket, it goes right to the bottom, right there. You see that? All you see, the lanyard and the pocket clip. That's all it is. Because of that, that's why I put this lanyard on here, so fob, so that you can draw it off a little bit easier. That is just personal preference. It does not come with the lanyard hole, sadly. Otherwise, that's what this would be through. But you know, it's not a big loss. I don't mind that. Yeah, the pocket clip is interchangeable, but it's only tip-up carry, so that's something you want to watch out for if you prefer a tip-down. I personally am a fan of tip-up, which is why I have it on this side. Another thing you have to watch out for is this is not a very left-hand friendly knife. Just in construction, the ovular hole is tight enough as it is with right hand to open it up, but with left hand, that is the liner lock that actually gets in the way, so it's even a smaller hole to put your thumb through and pull it out. And even then, the insignia down here, you can see right on that little spacing is the little ovular blue shield. There we go, the shield that Buck puts in, that has the anvil. Excuse me, the anvil Buck symbol. It gets covered up by the pocket clip pretty well, and it's even there on the pocket clip. Let's get the magnifying glass. You can see it right there. But it is tip-up carry, left or right-hand side. Next we have the washers. Now they are phosphorus bronze washers, but the action on here, it's not gritty, but it's just a little too tight for my liking. I've tried unscrewing it and loosening the pivots, but that just seems to loosen up the whole thing. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. But it's a little tight, which is fine, I think. It doesn't bug me that much. It's just not as smooth as the Tenacious. This thing is just butter smooth. This is just a step below. So we have the phosphorus bronze washers, talked about the symbol, the blade. Alrighty. This is the main selling point of this knife. Of the 3 different groupings of this, the Select, it starts with the infamous 420 HC that Buck uses, that they heat treat incredibly well, like what they have on the new knife that I will be showing you pretty soon. It's a classic knife. The 420 HC, it's phenomenal steel. The handle, I believe, is Zytel, Zytel, I believe, is what it is. Not my preference. Still the same exact design, just with different materials, like I said before. The step up from that is the Avid, the Buck Vantage Avid, which has 13C26N Sandvik steel, which is a better steel. Same thing that's shown on the Kershaw needs work, the OD1, and many other Kershaw knives. It's a great steel. Actually, what they use a lot in razor blades, which I found pretty cool. But yeah, so that one takes a razor's edge, and then finally, this blade, which has S30V steel, done and heat treated by Boss, excuse me. If we could get this little bugger, get the magnifying glass, and show you right underneath the hole, the glare will go away. And you kind of see it. It has the Boss flame insignia that shows that it's heat treated by them. Underneath that, it says S30V for the steel. You can kind of see it. On the other side, you see Buck right on the left-hand side of the opening hole, and right next to that it says USA 347 for the serial number of the knife. The blade is 3 inches and it is hollow ground, which is phenomenal for EDC. It comes with a razor's edge, and I've barely had to touch it up, and that's only because I've been cutting cardboard and trees for 8 hours in the past couple of days, which is why I'm doing the review only a week after I've gotten it. This knife is just so phenomenal. The clip point design allows for such a beautiful amount of belly right here, so you actually get some really good cutting power. The whole ergonomics of it is just phenomenal. I can work with this knife in so many different grips, and there will be no hot spots whatsoever. Now, the problem with this line is that Buck had a serious alignment problem with the blade centering. As you can tell, mine is a little bit to the right, however, it is not hitting the liners, so it doesn't bug me. I don't have a problem with it. However, previously, about a year or 2 ago, it was constantly hitting the liners no matter how much you adjusted it. I haven't even taken this apart, so I could probably fix it if I wanted it to. But they couldn't before. I have no idea why. Maybe the washers weren't being cut properly, or there was some kind of wedge that was getting in there. Who knows? But the fact is, Buck had a problem, and they fixed it. As you can see, well, you can kind of see with mine. It doesn't bug me as much. As long as it's not cutting up the blade from the liner, I don't really care. It's not a problem. Deployment, you've got the opening hole, which is ovular, not my personal preference because it is too small. I would much prefer something like the Spyderco opening hole, which is just so much more ergonomic, but that is not what's going to happen, so they're going to leave it with this. I believe the intention was for the flipper to be the actual main design of the opening hole. And as I said before, the action isn't as smooth as I would like it to be. So it's still kind of tight even with a flick. So you have to give a bit of a wrist flick to get it out. But that's not a problem. The phosphorus bronze washers work well once you give it that flick. I think just a little bit of oil, take it apart, clean out the pivot screw, add a little bit of blue Loctite, and it'll be phenomenal. That's all you have to do. I'm just too lazy to do that. What else do I have to talk about this knife? The colors are only black, by the way, so that is a bit of a problem if you don't like black. Otherwise, it's just phenomenal. It's an amazing knife. I highly suggest it. If you're going to try out S30V, I think this is one of the best value knives around. I don't know, whenever I thought of S30V, I kept thinking Sabenzas, Striders, something in like the $350 to $400 range, but I don't want to shell out that kind of money. So here you go. You get the Buck Vantage Pro with a Pole Boss heat treat on S30V, which is just phenomenal. Another suggestion would be the Kershaw Blur, I believe, that comes in S30V, and that's around $60, $50 or $60. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a personal fan of the Blur or its designs, but I do see the functionality of it. Alrighty, so that's what I have to talk about this knife. I'm glad I got this through pretty quickly instead of spending 20 minutes on the knife. Just as an introduction, I did get another Buck knife since this is my second one. First one was the 503T, the small one that I have, that I've kind of butchered the blade on. I got another one that is a classic that's been around since the 70s, I do believe. A knife that many of you will recognize, that many have counterfeited or copied or tried to pull on that market, and some have succeeded, some haven't. And without further ado, the Buck 110. This is what I was talking about when I was referring to the 420 HC steel. That's what they use on this particular model. It's just a generic 420, or excuse me, generic 110. There are two major differences in the 110 and the 110 Select, I think, and that's just the finger grooves. They've got finger grooves cut into the handle. I prefer the smoothness. It just looks a little more gentleman sleek like that. I will have a review of this in due time. I'm going to pump out a couple more reviews in a bit. But yeah, this is just a phenomenal knife, and can't wait to do a review on it. It's really heavy, by the way. I mean, this is like a good ½ pound of weight. It's one hell of a grip. Anywho, so guys, thank you very much for watching my reviews. I hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, comment or video response, whatever you feel like. Alrighty guys, thanks a lot. Adios.